Hey y'all, Luke here with RO-BERG Concrete Repair Specialist, and today we're going to have a special episode for you guys called The Science of Water Movement. Now, water always wins. It doesn't matter how new your concrete is or how much you even paid for that concrete. If you don't control where the water goes, then it's going to cause issues and damages to the concrete. Now today we're going to go over in a simple way how water moves, what are some of the best practices to put in place to get water to go where you want it to, and of course, number one goal is to prevent damages. Now, we'll start with gravity, right? So water's always going to run downhill. So elevations are very important to keep the water from the high point to go to the low point. Now, getting there, that's the battle. And you don't need a ton of slope. In a lot of instances, we are in there of lack of slope where it's pretty much flat level concrete, whether it be your driveway or your sidewalk or your patio. We need a little bit of slope to get that water to go where we want it to go. And water is going to follow the path of least resistance. So up against your concrete, if you don't have your dirt back filled up there and it's not in there nice and tight, then a lot of times the water is going to run in between the two where the concrete's rigid, the dirt isn't. It's going to push or pull that dirt out, take it with it, and erode underneath the concrete. And we've noticed this a lot with the larger storms that we've had in the past, whether it be Hurricane Beryl or even Hurricane Harvey, where we had a substantial amount of flooding. A lot of times when that soil was so saturated, and then as the water was running off of the soil, it took a lot of that soil with it. So a lot of people were saying, well, my yard used to be really tall. After the hurricane, everything really started going down. And as it goes down and as it erodes, it's eroding the soft soil that's underneath the concrete. A lot of times that's sand, and that takes that sand away. That's when you start seeing your concrete with trip hazards or even sink in some areas, holding more water. The more water it holds, the more issues you're going to have. Now, if you have an issue where your water is going to the same area and it's holding a lot, you may even see the soil starting to heave. We're really high in clay content in this area. So as that soil hydrates, it starts to swell, then you're going to start seeing some heaving areas where the only way to really get it down is to lift the concrete up and dig it out or replace. Now, whether if it's heaving or if it's sinking, a telltale sign would be you start seeing cracks where there were cracks before. And we can see what water really does to the soil if you look against your foundation on when we have a lot of substantial rain for a long period of time, or where we're not so dry, the soil is nice and tight up against that concrete. As we get hotter and in the summer we start going a week or so without rain, you start seeing that soil dehydrate, and then you'll start seeing it pull away from the concrete. Well, that's shrinkage. Just how the shrinkage and movement goes up and down, it'll also go left and right. And not just up against your foundations, but it could be up against your driveway, your patios, or your sidewalks, pool decks. You'll start seeing that soil starting to separate. Now, once that soil separates, then we start losing moisture underneath the concrete. All that moisture is going to escape. It doesn't have like a seal. All that moisture is going to go up in the air. That's when you're going to start seeing it starting to sink again. And this isn't something that just happens once or twice. This is over weeks, months, or even years. Sometimes you may have bought a home that's new to you and there's been no maintenance, or you don't really understand the movement that's already happened before you got there, and now you're having to deal with those issues. Let's talk hydrostatic pressure. Hydrostatic pressure is where the water gets built up underneath something. This time it could be a sidewalk or a driveway. We notice it a lot up north where there's retaining walls with basements. You get a lot of water that's getting pushed up against it. So that can happen the same way, just much like you have the hydrated soil. You get that hydrostatic pressure that's lifting up on it, on that concrete. Now, when we go meet with homeowners and we're looking at what concrete issues they have, what we look for is the number one thing is water. Like, why did it do this? But where's the water coming from? Where's it going? So drainage isn't an afterthought. It's planned out in the lift. So if we know that we're going to lift the driveway panels at the garage and there's a downspout there, we need to make sure that downspout gets turned the opposite way and gets pushed as far as we can away from that concrete. Now, in some instances, you may have a downspout inside of the corner of the driveway where it's concrete around, and sometimes we don't get to pick where the downspouts are going to be. The best practice is to seal the top of concrete with joint sealant, so any water that goes on top of that concrete, it's going to sheet drain off, get into the road, and go into the engineered water drainage systems that's in the streets. Now, in closing, a couple simple things to do. Number one, identify where the water's coming from. Number two, ensure that everything we can do to stop the water from going under or next to that concrete structure is eliminated from that path of travel. And number three is making sure that that water gets far enough away inside any kind of designed area for the catch that water, hold that water, that's not going to allow either the soil to be eroded, disturbed, or even hydrate next or underneath that concrete. And as always, if you or you know someone that has water drainage issues, or if you start noticing that your concrete's starting to crack, you've got trip hazards, it's holding water in some areas, please feel free to reach out, give us a call. We'll come take a look at it free of charge, come up with a good plan to prevent further issues and then fix what's there.